forget what I was trying to say. I no longer do what I was gonna do, but you're no good for me. That's why me know I send me a pick a flee. Me have to take away me say. Me have to take away me say. Me have to hide like a thief in the night. Me have to get out of sight. Me have to take away me say. Take away me say.
Greetings, kings and queens. Welcome to another Real Stuff podcast. Today is Tuesday. And remember, I always tell you, if it's Tuesday, there's an election going on somewhere, some county, some metropolitan area in the United States of America. If you don't believe me, Google it and you'll see for yourself. Today is Caribbean Youth Voices. And we have 3 champions with us this morning. 1 from Africa and 2 from the Caribbean. So you know we're on track. I got Michael McNeil Dean with me this morning, and I have also Theory. I'm guessing right now. So Theory is here with us this morning as well, and then I have Festus Osufo out of Africa. I got Maxwellette Flavius along with Francine with me this morning. Top of the morning.
Morning listeners, morning viewers, morning panelists.
Top of the morning, Max.
Good morning, Max.
Beautiful today. Great to see you guys. Well, hear you, Flavors.
Right.
And Franco and Courtney.
Yes, good.
It's a little bit, it's sunny today in Kissimmee. It's beautiful. Yesterday was terrible. Someone died, was murdered here yesterday, but unfortunately that's what's going on all over. But the sun is shining today. Storms are coming, but trying to keep it festive.
Okay.
What's going on in your neck of the woods, Franco?
Mine, it's slightly overcast. I wake up this morning and it was very, very, hot. I could feel summer because the sun was out. But now it get a bit overcast. I know it's usually the way like this. By the time it getting closer to the midday, that's when it started to look like it's going to rain. And the gentleman name who I couldn't remember because I wasn't looking on my monitor, his name is Theory Gittins.
Okay.
All right, so I got Theory here with me. He's here with me, and also Michael is here with me. So we're just going to open up their mic, unmute their mic, and then we can go straight into it. So, Max, I'm going to turn it over to you without any further ado.
Oh, beautiful. Again, it's great being here again, another morning, another day. Let's see who we have here. As you said, we have Michael, I see Theory, and I see Brother Alfonso Festus is joining us as well.
Good morning.
Oh, okay. Mute your mic for me, please, gentlemen. Kings, mute your mic for me, please.
Yes, I am hearing you.
Yes. Okay. I'm going to start with Michael. Let me make sure I'm saying your name properly. Is it Michael or Michael? Pronounce your name for me, please.
Hello?
Mr. Deans, can you hear me?
I think
we're having
podcast is mute. We're not hearing.
Oh, you're hearing me? Good. Okay, could you pronounce your name for me? Your first name?
Hello, this is Courtney. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we're hearing you, Courtney.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I don't think Michael is hearing.
Michael, are you hearing us, Michael?
Okay,
I think there's a technical problem in the studio, so
go along with Theory.
Theory.
Okay.
Go with Theory.
Okay.
Not a problem. Michael, we'll come back to you very shortly. Theory, unmute your mic for me, darling, and go right ahead. Can you hear me, Theory?
Yeah, but in the meantime, I think you can just go ahead and introduce yourselves. I think maybe the listeners will hear you, but I don't know what's happening in the studio right now. So maybe you can introduce yourselves, and I think they'll be back by then.
Okay, well, my name is Terry Gittins. I am from Barbados. My school is called the Law School. For 7 years, I've been a part of the organization, and two occasions I've served as the president. I would say I'm a young person who is very interested in helping others, who is interested in leadership, who wishes the best for my nation and also the best for the region in terms of integration, the ways that we work together to make our unity the best it could be. I would say also that I believe that we as the Caribbean region are a very powerful region in terms of our ability to make change as oasis and SIDS, and I hope that one day that we could be more in, let's say, helping each other in terms of the economy, develop in terms of our different financial markets and that kind of stuff.
Okay, that's great. So, Michael?
Yes, thank you guys for having me. Am I clear enough? You guys hearing me?
Loud and clear.
I am
Yes,
hearing
we are.
you, so
Loud and
I
clear.
think
Loud and
maybe
clear.
other people can be heard. I don't know. There, as I said, there are some technical difficulties in the studio, and
Okay.
We're,
they're working on it.
we're
So,
hearing him. We're hearing him now.
Okay, no
Loud and
problem.
clear.
Well, my name is Michael Deans, and I'm from Jamaica. I am a past student of the Edna Manley College, the School of Visual and Performing Arts, and I studied visual communication. So my bachelor's was in visual communication, and my major is in animation. So by nature, I'm a visual artist, an illustrator, and for the past 8 years, I'm an entrepreneur. So I've been doing business and also been trying to keep up the role of being an artist and also an educator. So those are some of the things that I'm working on now, and also trying to figure out ways to help persons in the pandemic throughout to challenge their fears in mental health and other stuff that they might need help with, like myself. Thank you.
okay, that sounds
Beautiful.
great. You know, yeah. And you have achieved so much for a young man.
Yes,
So,
thank you.
yeah. So, since you know you have just introduced yourself, I don't know if it's Festus. Festus is there.
He's
Festus
coming
or
back in.
Sophia.
No, he's not in yet.
It
He'll be
looks
back.
like he's not here in on the Zoom link. So, what's the pronunciation? Is what Michael or Michael?
It's
Michael?
it's Michael.
Michael. Okay.
Some said Mikhail, but once I start it with a him, I'll go with whichever one.
Okay.
Yes,
All
so
right.
it's yes.
So you want to dive in the topic? Because you say you want to speak about the mental health of youth during the COVID.
Yes.
So you want to go ahead and give us your thoughts and your perspective on it.
No problem. There's a lot of stuff that I want to cover, but I hope we have enough time. So, you know. But what is mental health? Let's start there. What is mental health? What do you know about mental health?
Don't know much about it.
You guys hear me?
Yeah, man. I don't know much
Yeah. Go
about it.
ahead. I think you're starting
Can you
out
hear me?
your argument with a question, but I don't
Yeah.
know if you're questioning
Yes, I'm questioning.
or you are just starting your argument. But go ahead and answer your own question. It's okay. You can start your argument that way.
Okay. So for me, I don't have a direct meaning as to say what is mental health, because mental health can derive from a lot of things, and once your health isn't in the right mindset or in the right health, well, that should consider as
Yeah, continue, make it. I think it's still recording.
Court, can anyone hear me?
Yes, he's gone.
Uh,
He's off.
Yeah.
Michael, are you there still?
Him fell off. Him fell off.
No, he's not. He's not there.
Why not move on to theory?
Yeah, Theory, go ahead.
Because I know theory is. Here comes Festus. Yeah, so theory, you want to go ahead and talk about your plan, the impact of COVID-19 on youth's mental health. That's almost the same thing as well. So,
Similar topic. Yeah.
Go ahead, theory. Theory.
Okay, there's Festus there
Theory,
as well.
can you hear me, theory?
Sorry about that, guys.
Okay.
Yeah, sir, I can hear you.
Okay, all right. Go. Continue then, Michael. Michael is back, so we're gonna let Michael continue.
Okay, I guess I'm live now, right?
Yes, you're back live.
Awesome. All right, so I was on mental health, right? And as I was saying that a lot of us have challenges, and those challenges that I found out that our youths are now facing comes heavily from the pandemic. We had mental health issues before the pandemic, but from the pandemic there has been a series of events that has been taking place, and I believe that these events derive from bad mental health, right? Like some of the things that been happening in Jamaica, I can't speak entirely for the Caribbean, but what I know in Jamaica, just the fear of catching COVID-19 is, I'm not hearing you. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm not hearing you though.
Yeah, continue. Go ahead, continue.
Yes. So just the fear of catching COVID-19 propose a challenge to us as young youths, having to stay home, nothing like any of us have ever seen before or used to. And I want to direct this argument specifically to some of the females, females who has been out of school and are being challenged by what some of them wanted to leave behind going to school, like having interference from their parents, their peers, and just anybody around them. Most of them get pregnant before you can even imagine, faster than how there has been before the pandemic. People are being raped. And another thing that I've recognized throughout all of this is the increase of anal sex among our youths. So in Jamaica we call that buggery. I'm not going against homosexuality or anything. I'm just talking about how our young teens are approaching sex these days. So all of this, I believe, comes from the stress of being at home, have nothing to do, and being exposed to certain content that isn't in our Caribbean community, or something that we hasn't been exposed to as yet in terms of the rate that we are moving as teens. I don't know if I stray too far from what I was saying, but I'm trying to put everything together as some of the impacts that led to our mental health, you know. So we can expound more on this I won't say too much and buy out too much of the argument because this is a discussion. So I'm hoping that everybody else can put their ones and twos together so we can iron out what I'm trying to say a little much better. Alright?
All right, fair enough. Max, Max, unmute your mic. Unmute your mic. All right, Max, you're not hearing me. Unmute your mic.
Can you hear me now?
Loud and clear. All right.
Beautiful. Wow, that was a very hot topic there that Michael brought up just now. Okay. I see Festus, we're going to get back to that as well. But I'm going to make a few comments on what you said. That's a very sexuality, mental illness touches everything. It has to do with the mind. So it's going to, roll into everything that you do as an individual. So I didn't know. I am surprised. I did not know that this was an issue. So that's very interesting to hear. I'm wondering, are there no services out there? I mean, what's obviously something is going on that you're seeing that it's still actively occurring. So I don't want to assume anything, but are there no mental illness or mental services out there in Jamaica available to the youth at all?
I am not sure 100%, but I believe there is. There must be an entity or some organization that helps, And I've seen forums and webinar that people been having on mental health in Jamaica. So there are some people that are trying to help.
Yeah, that's serious business all across the board. That's a very interesting topic that you touched on. I see Festus is here, Brother Alfonso. Can you unmute your mic for me? Okay, Brother Alfonso, can you hear me? I don't think so. Okay. Theory, can you unmute your mic?
Yes, please. Good evening. Good afternoon, sir.
Beautiful. Good to see you again. You were saying, because you and Michael, it sounds like we have very similar topics. Did you want to expand on yours as well? And then we can probably just, unless we can get Brother Festus, he may have a different outtake, but I'm waiting to see if he can connect. He's having connection issues, he said. Elaborate on your topic for me a little bit further, please.
Well, what I wanted to speak about was the aspect of financial literacy. I was waiting on my turn to add into what Michael was saying about mental health, because from the student perspective, this actually is something that we had to deal with. I would say for sure in Barbados. I know that throughout the region, it was the same too in terms of how CXC was going to allow the exams to go and that kind of stuff. And it really put a strain on a lot of students in Barbados. Right. I can speak for my country. We had situations whereby students were on, well, we have Brass Stats, that's our radio station. They were speaking on Brass Stats, speaking about how they feel, how it's affecting their mental state. And to be honest, looking at the surveys and different things we carried out, because we have a whole organization of student leaders that do this to make sure that what's going on with all the students in the secondary schools. And what occurred is that a lot of persons really didn't want to do the exam because they were feeling a lot of stress, a lot of strain, a lot of pressure to meet the work. So on the aspect of education, I could say that mental health is really detrimental, especially in these times of COVID, because the students throughout the region have been having a lot of pressure. But specifically, as an example, we'll say Barbados. I could say for sure what Michael is saying is very true.
Wow. Interesting. It's very interesting to see this blend here. And what you're speaking of regarding academia, I don't think we are paying enough attention to the fact of the high pressure that the students are under. We heard about this last week as well when we had students from other islands as well, from the Caribbean, mentioning this, it did come up in discussion that there's a massive amount of pressure being put on you when you have to take your exams and testings, and it's something needs to be done because people are. You hear it here in the U.S. as well. People are breaking. It's just too much. So we need to find some other type of solutions because no joke at all, students are losing it when they're not making the exams, or they're not passing, or they're waiting to see what did they pass, where they're going to end up, what does their future hold. I mean, this does affect the psyche. So you and Michael are really on the same road here, even though you're coming from different ends of it. It's very similar, and this is obviously widespread. Very, very interesting. What do you think? I'm going to go over to Michael in a minute, but Theory, what do you think might be a possible solution to this?
Well, from the educational point of view, I just believe that there must be an understanding from all parties because we as students can come and say, well, look, this is what we want, that is what we want, but you have to know that there's pressure all around from the ministers, from the persons who deal with CD registrars. So I believe it just needs to be a level of understanding and mutual decisions being made instead of one party's making this decision because they believe that they have the right to, because it's not looking at the invested interest of everyone. If once we can look at the invested interest of everyone, then that from the perspective of what Michael was saying about in terms of mental health and sex and loss of female students dropping out of school, I believe it's just an understanding of we need to place a more cultural aspect of that. Education is very important, but we must understand that there's other voices or other problems that could affect students. So parents need to know that, well, look, I as a parent must be more condescending or going on myself, but try to not pressure them to do what I want to do, but allow them to be their own person. So to me, it's independence, but still being there for your child. So that's my perspective on the sexual aspect of mental health.
Right. Wow. Let's see if we have Brother Festus. Brother Festus, are you there? Okay. Is your mic? Your mic is in mute. We're not hearing you. Okay. Hopefully you'll be able to get that cleared up and come in. Michael, could you unmute your mic for me?
Sure.
I would. Thank you, my dear. I wanted to go back to what you were saying about the sexual aspect of it with mental illness. I want to make sure, I was having a little technical difficulties on my end at the time. I wasn't hearing you. But I wanted to make sure that I am clear. We're discussing, you're saying the mental illness of the youth, especially with pregnancy, diseases, getting themselves involved in all kinds of sexual curricula activities, maybe we should say, because COVID and other things that are going on there. Is that what you're pretty much touching on?
Yes. And okay, so one of the things that I discussed earlier was students being at home. For example, a female at home. It happens to both gender, but I'm speaking specifically female, given that it happened more to them, right? Mm-hmm. So most of these females would want to use school as an escape to escape the home, to escape predators, their neighbors, brothers, cousins, whoever these persons might be. So these are some of the strains that are on them right now, because some of these girls are also getting pregnant. They don't know what to do. And also the literacy gap that I am looking at right now, given that most of us has been out of school for so long. We have access to the information. Some of us have access to the information that has been sent to us and all. So it works for some, but for some it doesn't work. I am looking at a literacy gap within the next 5 to 7 years from now.
Wow.
So that I think could possibly have an impact on mental health of our
Oh
youths,
yeah.
because anticipation and expectation of where we should be or where we wanted to be, that also plays a critical role in mental health. So,
Hmm.
I'm going to dig a little bit deeper, but as I said, I'm just trying to give everyone enough space so they can input
No
and
man. Dive night, dig deep.
all right. All right. So, yeah. And also the contents that most of our youths are being exposed to when they are in
Hmm.
school. Not saying that when they are in school they don't have chance to use their cell phones and all of that, but I think it gives
Right.
them less time to focus on some of the things that they don't really need to be focusing on. So that also, I believe, is contributing to a down spiral in mental health, because some of the contents that we are exposed to we are not ready for. And I
Correct.
believe we need more forums, we need more um, programs to help our youth, to educate them about things that they are being exposed to now, and some of the things that they don't really need to focus on, because the strain from schoolwork to just look at anything else that's not even
Hmm.
relevant during the time when you need to be focusing on that work, that's a problem,
Oh
because
yeah.
if you set 5 hours of the day for school, normally say that's the traditional time for school, and you find
Right.
that during that 5 hours teachers will send the work for you to do, but you do part and you don't have the next time to communicate with your friend to check to see how well, you just don't have that physical and face-to-face connection to
Right.
check in with your peers and all of that. So it gives you a lot of time to deviate from your work and to
Right.
focus on a lot of other things that isn't helping us so well. Yeah.
Wow. That's some serious issues you're bringing there. Um, it's a feat because, of course, we're in the day of times of data, information, technology. It's going to be very difficult to censor certain things. So we
Yes.
must educate. We must educate. This is important because, like you're saying, if they're going online and they're being exposed to certain sexual practices, you brought up a few. Um, it's just there for on an entertainment type of level. Where now how are they processing that? So you need some type of educational something sitting there explaining what it is that you're being exposed to. That's because, unfortunately, a lot of the parents are not going to discuss it. I know as a mother, as an auntie, my nephews come to me all the time, auntie, so what about this, because they know their mom or their dad may not want to discuss it. But you have to
Right.
because it's out
Yeah.
there and they're being exposed to it. So you don't want them to go and get the wrong feedback. You want them to get the right information. So yeah, there needs to be something set up, I think. Whether
Right.
parents want to deal with it or not is really not that it's irrelevant, but it's not going to help the situation any because it must be dealt with,
Right.
and go ahead, go, please continue.
Okay, sorry about that. But what I
No, no,
wanted to stick up in for the parents, I think the parents themselves has been educated enough. A lot of them aren't being educated enough to deal with this new millennium,
yes,
because I call it a new era. Whether we want to accept it or not, I don't believe nothing will ever go back to normal. Even school itself, I believe we will be having shorter times in school, given that we
right,
we were exposed to this type of technology. Not saying that it wasn't there before, but this method of learning and all of that. So I think there are some some programs or some initiatives that should be set in
Mm-hmm.
place to help parents to help guide them themselves and also their children's. So yeah, I think it's
Right.
more about educating the parents too, so that they
Yes.
can guide the kids or even the
I,
teens.
I I agree with that. I agree with that. Flavia, do you have anything you want to add into this? Are you there, Flav? Courtney?
Yeah, Michael, Courtney here. There's something that is quite interesting to me that you're speaking about. So, are you attributing, well, not being in school to some of this high anxiety levels that students are experiencing?
Yes, yes, I strongly believe that.
Wow.
Oh,
Interesting.
so,
What,
so
just one second, gentlemen, kings. Francine is in the building. Can we welcome Francine? Francine, unmute your mic for me, please.
Good morning, one and
Greetings.
all. Just checking in. Good morning.
morning.
Grand
Morning.
Rising, Francine. Good to see you, darling.
Morning, morning.
Okay. Michael, go right back ahead to what you were saying. Sorry to have interrupted you.
I think someone was asking a question. Was asking a
Courtney.
real question.
Yeah,
Courtney.
I'll answer the question. What are what you think are the proposed solutions to this situation? Because as you said you mentioned something that most of the students are without the proper equipment. Meaning they don't have a laptop, they don't have a tablet, or maybe a proper phone to help them along the journey, of doing this online classes. So, what do you think, is a possible solution, what kind of solutions would you like to put out there? What would you like to see happen?
Okay, what I believe is that the educational system needs to be reformed. It needs to match the curriculum, need to match the new era. Because as I said before, nothing, I believe nothing will go back to normal as we once had it. So in order for us to move forward, I think it has to take from a systematic approach the educational system to change up a lot of things so that we can fit in better. Because a lot of things that we've been doing, a lot of rules that we've been following over the years from the educational system still hasn't been accomplished by some of these parents and students who are unable to get the adequate amount of, whether it's money, books, or whatever it is to further their education. So that gap also needs to be filled from the educational point of view. So the system
Wow.
needs to be fixed first and reformed.
That ties right, that's beautiful. That ties right back into what Theory was saying. Theory, could you unmute your mic for me, please? And get in on this? Because I
Yes,
think this
please.
ties into, again, what you were saying about the academia. And I'm curious as to what you think, what ideas or solutions you have as elders, mature adults that we may be able to contribute to this.
Well, to me, issues like this are not one that I could say be tighter policy in terms of like parliament and that kind of stuff. It's more a home environment. I heard my elders say when you go to school, how a child reacts or how a child behaves, it starts in the home. So with that being said, it has to start in the home. It has to be a chain reaction of every home just starting to adjust to the situation. But realistically, looking at the social demographics of the different classes we have in our societies, it's going to be very hard. But what could happen is just a simple start of from the governmental level, just displaying it to the aspect of, all right, this is the issue that what's going on. We want to have a situation where we have more unity in the homes as much as possible. And it just has to be a culture change, like respect that We need this issue to be solved. And for it to happen, it has to be between the parents, the children. Most importantly, it has to be situation of understanding that children need the freedom, but there still must be some restraint. To add to that as well, I believe it's also ties to finance as well. Because if you look at it, you are going to find these situations in more homes that have lower finances when a child doesn't have any other avenue to express themselves and they feel pressure. And the only way for them to make it out is through education, which to me, education is the most applicable way for you to make it out. You're going to realize that these children are, as Michael said, engaging in activities such as sex and that kind of stuff. So we have to look at the level of financial literacy, the level of literacy of mental health, and the literacy in terms of understanding different concepts. So the education must be there, but it cannot start in the school. It must start at home.
True, true, true. Wow, that's very powerful. It's yes, I must agree. It should start at home. And as Michael was saying, the parents have to be educated as well because it's a very big gap that I've noticed as well, where you have the students and they're learning, but the parents are clueless to what's going on because we don't understand or we don't understand what it's all about. We weren't taught whatever the situation, so there's no connection there. So it begins to make a big gap. So yeah, it's I think again we must educate. It's an all around thing. It should be the students, parents, more involvement. I don't know if either gentleman, Michael or Thierry, if you have PTAs or we call them parent teachers associations here, where the parents get involved and they put in their 2 cents or they stuff like that for the youth. I'm not sure exactly what is in place, and if not, the youth, you yourself. That's why we again have this platform. They have to be the ones to start knocking on those doors and rattling those chains to make these changes come to fruition. Um, Michael, I see you on mute your mic. You got something you want to say over there?
Oh no, but I think Terry, what is his name? Terry? Yes.
Theory. I think it's theory. Yeah.
Right. He had a strong point. I wouldn't say anything to discourage his point because I guess we are both rooting for the same thing. So yeah.
Sounds like it. It's interesting that you're in Jamaica. He's in Barbados, I believe it is. Theory, correct me if I'm wrong, please. And it's just interesting to me. But all right, it's interesting to me that, and it says something. You're both on opposite ends, but you're suffering or having the similar issues. So there's something that is going on, and we have to pay attention to this. Very, very interesting. Wow.
Can I come in here?
Please, Flavors, go right ahead.
Yeah, what I'm looking at, you see, is that although we are approaching it in a very small way, one of the major things that we need to do, but it is not something that we can do over time, we have to do it immediately, is to get our teachers retrained. I don't think most of the teachers today is really capable of handling the situation now. They learning from home, learning through the technology, because they have no real experience with that. It's also new to them. So we need to find a way to bring them up to speed quickly, like a immediate thing, because they are trying to get the students up, but they themselves don't really understand the technology and the best ways to use the technology, because they have no practice. They have no practice of it. It is also very, very new to them. And the next point.
Sorry to interrupt you. I see Festus is here. and we're trying
Okay.
to get him in. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I want you to continue your point, but I need to get Festus in here
I, I can
if
always come
possible.
back. Yeah, man. Yeah, go
All
ahead.
right, my dear. Festus, unmute your mic for me, please. Can you hear me? Okay. Fest- all right, we're waiting. Festus, no? He's having connection issues, so I was just trying to bring him in, um,
No
but
problem.
I don't think he's hearing me at this point. Please, Flavius, continue.
Yeah. And the next thing is that within the teaching curriculum for teachers,
Mm-hmm.
we have to make the whole mm, psychology part of it as a required subject. Because normally now you
Yeah,
have a counselor in school, you have one counselor to X amount of kids and all that. But with everybody having this mental problem or stress problem, and you know, we need all teachers to be able to handle the situation because it is very commonplace now. And we can't
true.
depend on the parents. The parents the parents have to be trying to work and get some money so they can survive. It is not likely that they'll go back to school and learn all these things. So it's left to the
One minute.
schools.
Okay, let's see if we can get Festus in. Festus, can you hear us? Unmute your mic for me. Yeah, we're having a lot of issues on that end.
Yes,
Festus,
I can hear you.
beautiful. There you are.
I
Welcome,
have to
welcome.
apologize for the, yes,
Yeah, the connection is
So I
bad.
have to apologize, and then I'm talking about challenge the problems we have in Africa. This is but one of those, and then this is one of those, and then many more of these challenges. See, let's say a blogger wants to put out, and then having these challenges that is going to, stop him from making ends meet. And then this is just but one, just like I said initially. But I would like to talk about unemployment in Africa. I don't know if you could hear me. Hello?
We're hearing you. You're going in and out, but we're hearing you. You mentioned unemployment in Africa for the youths. Continue, please.
Yeah, yes, please. A- Africa has a population of about 1.37 billion, and then it happens to be the second most populous continent in the world. And out of this 1.37 billion, 60% of the population fall under the age of 25. That makes Africa the most youthful population in the world. And out of this youthful population, a who six are unemployed. And this situation doesn't look too good. It doesn't look too good. I am going to shift from Africa and then focus
Yes,
on
brother
Ghana because
Festus.
that is where I can
Mhm.
figures. But Ghana
Their connection is bad, poor. We're not hearing
Ghana's
you.
population stands around 31.7 million as of 2021.
Okay.
And 18 million of us being youths, that is under 20 million, a whooping 1.5. Yes. So not one to
I think we have lost Brother Festus. We know that we're having some connection issues. So I will try to reiterate on his topic briefly. It's think, and I think it's something that the other youths as well probably can relate to across the board. He's saying that the population that is in Africa, more than 80% of the population, 90% of the population is youth, 25 and under, and 86% are unemployed, something along these. Don't quote my figures. I'm trying to go by what he said. So at the end of the day, unemployment is a major issue that the youths are dealing with. And of course, we all are dealing with that, but it sounds like it's on a much larger scale in Africa because there are more people there. So we have to expect this. So here we are today on the Real Stuff podcast, again, with Theory, Michael, and we also had Festus coming in and out, and our staff, Francine, Courtney, Flavius, Franco. And here I am, and we have these topics that we have to deal with concerning our youth that we must pay attention to. Mental health. I hit this again. Those who know me well know that mental health is a major issue because it affects everything. If your head is not right, nothing else is going to be right. I don't care what you're doing.
We saw it
you
in
have
the Olympics.
academia.
We saw it in the Olympics.
Look at the Olympics. Perfect.
Yeah.
With Miss Biles.
Uh-huh.
I respect her for the fact that she said, I can't do it. I can't. Mentally, I think she said something called the twisties. Mm-hmm. It's a mental binding of she can't do it. And she didn't care and she spoke up on it. And I think that was for her betterment. You have to speak up on what is troubling you mentally because you need help. We come from a culture that pities, looks down, stereotypes, and downcast people with mental illness. We have to stop doing that because we are suffering. We cannot get further if we're not hitting mental illness. We have to deal with it. That's number one. Take away the shame and focus on it and deal with it. As well as with academia, you're not going to get, how are you? I can remember as a child, I had won a scholarship in elementary school that I lost because nobody knew that my mother was a paranoid schizophrenic. So I was in school having fun, but by the time I got home, I was in pieces. It's very difficult for a youth to separate that. So we must focus on these areas. It is imperative and vital. And again, unemployment. You have dealing with these three issues alone. These are major, major things that we must tackle. We must find solutions for because we don't want the youths to be repeating the same garbage we left behind and that we're still stuck in and that some of us have come out of. So I give the young kings much respect for coming out and voicing their opinions and their issues and what they see is going on. And we're going to have you come back again because this is something that we must touch upon and we must deal with it. That's why we want to hear your voice. Franco?
Yes, Max. Want to make sure that before I leave this morning, we touch everyone. Everyone get touched. Francine, is she here? No. Flavius.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want you to anything else you want to say on the issue before we get out of here?
Yeah, man. One of our panelists said something about the restructuring of the education system.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is vital when it relates to unemployment because I think one of the problems with the Caribbean and Africa with unemployment is how we are trained. We are trained to look a job. And you can be at the top with the doctors and you come right down. But we need to from school time to change the whole conversation, change the whole thing from the looking at job thing to developing the youths so they can create their own jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And that all different types of professions are good and not beneath others. We have to get rid of that stigma, because we grew up in a time when it's a doctor, lawyer, nurse, policeman, accountant, and that's it. No,
all right,
we have
Flavors, hold on the Flavors. Make we bring in back one of the panelists. Theory, you have him hands up, yeah. Since it's for them did. All right, Theory.
Sorry. I was trying to add to what he was saying after he was finished. But I
Mm.
wanted to say that basically I agree. But only one point I would say is that financial literacy not necessarily coming and adding more curriculums to provide more careers, but the financial literacy, I know I expand quickly on that. I mean, in terms of children knowing how to balance a check, children know how to approach a bank, get bank loans, understand how entrepreneurship works, so the aspect of creating your own business, understand how the stock market works. I believe almost every Caribbean country has a stock market, and a lot of persons do not know that they can invest. A lot of businesses in the Caribbean are not IPOs. For those that don't know, IPOs are publicly traded companies. We don't have that really in the Caribbean, especially in Barbados. So to me, the future is really children and the youth understanding that financial literacy, how the world works and money works, needs to happen instead of as I believe it's Flavius. Am I right? Am I wrong?
Flavius, yeah.
Yes, sir, you're completely correct. I believe it has to be more outside of the education system and to the aspect of courses that everybody knows are how to deal with money. Because a lot of people do not know how to deal with money, and that's what a lot of young people end up in bad credit and bad situations. That's just my point, and I just will close there.
No, I agree. I agree with you completely. I agree completely. Yes.
Yeah, we need to know about money. The kids them now need to know about money, how to save, how to invest, how to be, and how to be entrepreneur. You know.
True.
So,
what about our other panelists?
Michael.
Well, Michael,
Courtney?
did you have anything else that you wanted to add, or we wrap up your parting words?
Okay. Well, I'm just happy to have this discussion with you guys, and we could listen to each other, and I hope that we could further this discussion, because there's a lot to talk about. I didn't even get the time to touch on the Africa topic and unemployment, but hopefully next time we will have that opportunity.
Okay.
Thank you guys.
You're welcome. Courtney?
Yes, I agree with both Flavius and Thierry, but I'd like to go a little further about adding vocational training skills, because we see that is lacking, and if people have like certain vocational skills, they can become entrepreneurs. They can use their skill and employ themselves and others, because we see that what is happening right now, that there's going to be need for that in the future. Because you know that you're going to need a carpenter, a plumber, some kind of skills training person in the future, the way things are going. And it's not just about, I know that maybe in the future you'll have robots to fix everything for people, but, we're talking about present time up to about, the next 5 to 10 years, we still need skills training people. And I think that's one of the areas where our educational system can expand into.
All right.
And that's my take.
Sounds good.
All right.
Thank you, Courtney.
So I want to thank Michael, Theory, Festus, who, came in briefly, Courtney, Francine, Flavius, and you, Max, wanted for the lively discussion. Something that we touched on earlier in the year with Carlston, Medford, and yourself, along with Francine. There was somebody else, I can't remember. But we did touch on mental issue and how it affects students. So here it comes back again, front and center. So we know it's affecting Caribbean youths and youths in Africa. So with that, we're going to get out of here, and we're going to do it all over again next week when we have a different set of panelists, and we continue with the Caribbean Youth Voices. So live and love every moment of your life. Be grateful for each new day. Cherish your family and friends. Bless them. Keep the faith and never lose hope. And remember that prayer changes things regardless of what religion you belong to. You must pray and continue to pray. And so, we ask Queen Lubafu to say the Our Father for us in the Garifuna language. And take us out of here will be Tafina with Tekwe myself. So until Next time, take care of yourself and see you tomorrow.
You lead us to full. You belong far away away. Ajugwala lebo buseru. Lida mua, lida sumpula. Lida mua, lida sumpula.
Well, unfortunately, this is it. Till next time. Bless.
All you gotta do is just speak. One word is enough, and I'm no longer so rough. I forget what I was trying to say. I no longer do what I was gonna do.
Unfortunately, this is it. Till next time. Bless.
That's why me know I send me if it could flee. Me I fi take away me say. Me I fi take away me say. Me I fi hide like a thief in the night. Me I fi get out of sight. Me I fi take away me say.
Unfortunately, this is it. Till next time. Bless.
Shorty, I